What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Inspired By. Today, slightly spooky episode at that. It's Halloween season. Members of the YouTube and Discord community were asking about spooky beats for Halloween playlists this October, and I've got just the thing. Today we're going to look at a few techniques that I would utilize inside some kind of spooky holiday themed beats. But if you haven't checked it out before, I would couple this video with an episode I did last October. It's probably one of my favorite episodes I've ever made, and it hasn't got that much love in terms of views, but it comes with loads of tricks and techniques. You'll especially enjoy it if you're a fan of Michael Abels, who of course scored Nope, Us, and Get Out. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into this. So you heard a preview of this beat in the introduction, and things started off with the piano melody. Now, this piano motif was originally mirrored on the Dies Irae, a Gregorian chant created 800 years ago. The story is swamped in death, and again, if you want to check that out, check out my previous episode on Halloween musical tips. Now, the Dies Irae originally sounds like this. It's a D sharp, a D, back to the D sharp, and then a C. It's been in hundreds of spooky movies, and I originally used that theme in, or at least these notes, in this section of the piano motif. Originally started on the lower C and the higher G, and then building my way up to that Dies Irae. Now, originally the piano was coming in a little bit boxy and sounded like this, and I wanted it to sit almost a little bit more telephone EQ-like and slightly more central. So I added the fresh air just to brighten up some of those notes, and then used the Waves GW or Greg Wells piano-centric plugin just to make sure that it sounded a little bit more constricted. This is how it sounded originally. And we're just pulling it back. It's got a tiny little bit of delay there and kind of chorus action to make it sound a little bit more glassy and kind of ghost-like. Finally, I've added the glue compressor on this filter type as well to just clean up some of the muddy notes and take down some of those warmer dynamics. You can see it take most action as we climb up from those lower regions, as I've got the frequency set to 147 Hertz. Now we move on to the Fink guitar. I've shown this on the channel before. The Fink guitar, or Fink Signatures, is from Spitfire Audio, and there's this lovely acoustic pluck sound. Again, I've started things off with Slate Digital's Fresh Air just to bring out some of that fret noise, then a line delay to make the guitar seem a bit wider. It's going to sit either side of that piano that we just heard. And then the EQ8 just rolling off some of that low hum there. You'll notice that I've played this in completely by hand. I haven't quantized it. And I come away from the bar line and kind of slow things down towards the end. Makes everything feel a little bit more tense. And I've coupled that with another Fink preset, this time chords. So these are actually neutral chords on the top, and these are minor chords on the bottom. Just gives it a slightly different feel. That Fink guitar just has a little bit of EQ8, but then I've frozen it, flattened it in place, added a saturator, the EQ8, and a little bit of millisecond delay. So that gives it a slightly pan feel. It feels like it's been tracked twice. Let me show you those two guitars. Here's the first one, slightly dull, and here's the second one. So way more high passed, a little bit more buzzy with the saturation there. It just makes it sound like it's been double tracked or mic'd slightly different. Here are those main elements together. Now at this point we need kind of an anchored bass instrument, so why not use Ableton's upright bass? Just rolled it off with the EQ there. See what this sounds like. probably not making a world of difference to the laptop and phone listeners, but if you've got some headphones in, it should feel a little bit more purposeful and in a way slightly triumphant. Those were very easy elements to come together. The next instrument I added is just a classic. We added the theremin. Now you've probably heard this instrument before. It sounds like this. It's essentially just a sine wave with a little bit of harmonics there, and the rate of the wobble is turned up. If you want to see how to create this instrument, like I said, just check out that other episode from last Halloween. I added the theremin there as just a homage to the classic spooky sounds. If it's a Halloween vibe you're after, then you can never go wrong with the theremin. I just want to interrupt this video to tell you about DistroKid. DistroKid make it so easy to get your music on all of the streaming platforms. One of my favorite things is their Spotify Canvas generator. All you need to do is assign that Canvas generator to the song of your choice and then choose from thousands of copyright-free videos that you can assign to loop over in that music. This will enhance the Spotify experience for your audience and get your page looking way more professional. If you want to join me, then use the link in the description below and you'll get 7% off your first year. Let's get back to the video. Moving on from here, I just wanted to make sure that the mix was a little bit more full. So what I did was just take the noisy pad instrument from last week's episode with one heart, and all I added was a little bit more width. This instrument was originally mono because we'd coupled it with the organ pad, and I've swept off that EQ just a little bit more to get rid of those muddy notes. We've drenched it in reverb. It has a very slow attack, so you can see that I'm bringing in these notes quite early, so they roughly change on the bar line. Now underneath, I've just added a pluck instrument, and this is just going to act as a transitional instrument. It's just a little serum pluck with Valhalla vintage verb automated up towards the end. And then if you've got headphones in, you might have heard we had a little bit of panned automation there as well. So it just passes from the left ear to the right ear. Now on this part of the track, I have some noise, but I wanted it to be a little bit more sinister for the Halloween season. So as you can see there with its named file, I've written Metro Train, and this is just a recording of the Metro. And again, you might have noticed that it's got some EQ automation on it, quite a lot in fact. So as it comes in, it's at a really high passed hiss. And then as you hear the body of the instrument, you'll hear all of the brakes squeaking and some of the track noise as well. Let me turn this up for you. That sits really nicely in the mix because you get all of this kind of metal clanging, scraping sound effects in the bottom of your mix. And it's a little bit more creative than just using a noise sample with a filter sweep. Underneath everything, the kick and snare pattern were pretty simple because we already have so much going on, but you want your kick to be purposeful. I wanted it to sound a little bit like a heartbeat. And again, there's intention there. This way, when you put out your Halloween themed track, people can dissect it and they can say, I wonder if the producer meant to make that kick drum sound like a heartbeat, or I wonder if the DS E-Ray played a part of this track. It all makes it a little bit more fun for this listener. And I've got this kind of ticking clock-like snare as well, just a rim shot with Valhalla vintage verb on it. You can see that I've, again, really constricted the EQ. But one of the things that you should bear in mind for those Halloween themed tracks is ear candy. So with the snare, I've actually added a little bit of shaper box, starting with noise, and I've chosen the preset counting coins here. Shaper box, and especially the noise shaper, is wonderful for adding a little bit of noise to your transient sounds. And now it sounds like this. If I turn that up, you almost get this squelchy sound. And I wanted that squelchy sound to kind of flick up at the end. So I've got the bit crush, and it's just got this little tailed ramp at the end of every half a bar. It means when the noise finished playing, the volume just gets picked up a little bit and kind of crushed. And finally, whilst we're on the topic of ear candy, something that I've been doing is adding some kind of ASMR sounds in place of hi-hats in some of my tracks. So I wanted to do the same with this Halloween themed track, but don't worry, this technique is going to come back in future videos. I'm working on something that's really special, especially if you're into your ambience and your lo-fi kind of beats. So I've chopped up this bit of ASMR crackle. And you can see that there's a little bit of volume automation there. It's coming in louder, kind of getting ducked out, and then turning up quite loud towards the end. And I just wanted to make sure that that's swept off with the EQ8 there. So surprise, surprise, we've got some frequency automation once again. So sounding much more fizzy now. And just turning the gain down with utility, because of course I've automated with volume automation there on the side. Some people like to do it the other way around. I don't think it really matters as long as you get to the result that you want to. And then finally, I'm using Shaper Box here just to add a little bit of that sidechain feeling. So again, it sounds a little bit more rhythmical because it is in place of a hi-hat. Let's just play that rhythm and ear candy section all together. So it doesn't need to be like over the top. You don't need to have loads of polyrhythms. You can keep it quite simple if your melodies are a little bit more busy than usual. Let's have a recap of everything together, and why don't you let me know what you want to see in future videos. Remember, if you want to download the samples from this session or the Frozen project, as well as other helpful tools or book one-to-one sessions, then just visit the Patreon.